Janelle and Kody make the bulk of the money. They just do. My job doesn't pay as much, and so I've got some of the smaller bills, and I just know to take care of that.
So Mary, Christine, and Robyn kind of have their own bills, and then Kody and I coordinate getting the mortgage and the utilities paid.
Why do people think Mary contributed the most to the family pot? Let's break it down, because the truth might surprise you. Mary and Kody got married in 1990. The first 4 years of their marriage, she was unemployed more than she was employed. Kody took on various sales jobs. Yes, he was even a Schwann's man. Mary herself admitted she was engaged in her own job hunt until Janelle suggested she take a job at a trophy shop as an engraver. She worked part-time at that shop for 10 years. Then, in 2005, 15 years into their marriage, they moved to Utah, where Mary still struggled to find steady work. But hey, she started college classes at Utah Valley University, paid for by the family, of course. Eventually, she landed a job as a residential staff member at a treatment center for troubled teens, minimum wage, naturally. Oh, and she also started Live Water. So, by the time the show premiered in 2010, 20 years into their marriage, that's where Mary stood. Even while juggling these jobs, Mary admitted that she still wasn't making as much as Kody or Janelle. Keep in mind, Christine worked part-time throughout her marriage until she had truly, so it's safe to say that Christine and Mary were probably contributing the same amount financially, minus Mary's tuition bills, of course. All of them agreed that Kody and Janelle paid the mortgage and utilities. So, for the first 20 years of their marriage, Kody and Janelle were essentially carrying the family financially. And let's not forget, Kody always worked commission jobs, so some months, he didn't bring any money home at all. Then, after the show launched, Mary was fired from her job. She was unemployed for 7 months, except for Live Water before they moved to Vegas. If she was barely making more than Kody and Janelle when she had 2 jobs, she couldn't have been making much at all. Meanwhile, Kody and Janelle cashed out their $401,000 to cover the costs of moving and the first few months of rent. When they all relocated to Vegas in 2011, all the adults were unemployed for a while. So, if we look at it, for 20-21 years of marriage, Kody and Janelle shouldered most of the financial burden, while Mary likely contributed a similar amount to Christine, if not less, considering tuition. Mary didn't hit any real financial success until she started selling LuLaRoe in 2016, 26 years into the marriage. And don't forget, Christine also started with LuLaRoe at the same time. That's how she paid for Usable's surgery. From 2016 to 2020, both Mary and Christine probably contributed a fair amount to the family pot, similar to each other. Then, when Christine left in 2020, she stopped contributing entirely. Mary and Kody split in 2022, and it's safe to assume she quit contributing to the pot at that point. So, at best, Mary was putting in a significant amount of money for 6 years, after 20 years of Kody and Janelle doing the heavy lifting. The claim that Mary contributed more than anyone else is a major stretch. Honestly, her financial contributions were probably closer to Christine's than anyone realizes, and nowhere near Janelle, who held things down for almost 2 decades. The truth is, these 3 women all supported the family in different ways, at different times. They struck a balance between financial support and childcare, but no one's contributions should be dismissed. When things got truly desperate financially, Janelle was the one who stepped up the most. Mary played a significant role later on, but let's not forget that neither woman should be diminished for their contributions. The real issue here is Kody. He never brought enough to the table, especially considering the number of kids he had. It's funny how the focus always shifts to pitting the 2 highest-earning women against each other, while Kody gets off relatively scot-free in these discussions. Pre-Vegas, Janelle was the breadwinner. After the move, Mary took the financial reins, particularly once show money started rolling in. She didn't need to work as much, yet she chose to contribute even more. and she was barely involved with the family anymore, especially after becoming an empty nester. Still, she continued funding the family pot, and yes, even Kody and Robyn's shopping habits. Let's be real, Kody's been living off the backs of the original 3 wives from day one, and that's not something anyone should forget. We've got so much to dive into today, so let's not waste any time. Let's jump straight into it. Hey everyone, what's up? It's Elena here, and welcome back to my channel Reality Nexus X. So, Robyn spending. Why is it only coming up now? You'd think Janelle, who handles the finances, would be keeping track of where the money's going. Yet no one seems to have said anything about the outrageous levels of spending on Robyn. How is it that, all this time, no one spoke up? The first we're hearing about it is this season. After the other wives have left, let's talk about the house for a minute. Then there's the nanny $40K to $60K a year for a job that could have been handled by literally any number of people in the family for free. And don't even get me started on the overpriced artwork. It's practically covering every inch of that house. Surely the other wives noticed when they came to visit. Or how about the ridiculously expensive kitchen items? Because, when you have a family full of capable cooks, why not spend thousands on high-end appliances? The level of spending at Robyn's house feels absolutely off the charts compared to everyone else's. I mean, other households were scrounging around for used furniture, and Robyn's getting brand new everything. But hey, that's not all. Let's not forget the debt she brought into the marriage. Oh, and her failed business venture, Sister Wives Closet, where money was basically poured down the drain. Somehow, Robyn came out of this looking like a winner now that she's the legal wife, while the others, who spent 20+ years in this mess, are left with crumbs. And a 7,500 square foot house. Is she planning to open a hotel or something? It's beyond ridiculous. I really get the sense that Robyn and Kody are funneling all their liquid assets into material things, possibly to shield themselves in case the other wives come after them for alimony. But honestly, I doubt they'd win, especially given the whole polygamy situation in conservative Arizona. Then there's the unspoken reality of why no one calls Robyn out on any of this. It's simple, because to do that, they have to go straight to Kody, and we all know how well that goes. He's been known to shut down any conversation that doesn't fit his narrative. No one wants to be the next target of Kody's wrath after watching how he's treated Meri for years. Accusing Robyn of extravagant spending. Oh please. That's a conversation that would set Kody off in ways we can't even imagine. It's probably worse than that whole knife in the kidneys scene we all remember. Remember Janelle's little comment, "I think Kody has been telling everyone that I handle the finances. And if I did, we'd be in a much different place." Oh, and don't forget this gem from her. "I'm just the bookkeeper." Yeah, right. But honestly, we don't really know if anyone complained. We just know it wasn't shown on TV. For example, we only just learned that Janelle actually talked to Robyn years ago about tying up their funds and buying a house instead of paying off the collective debts. And yet, we're just hearing about it now. Robyn's playing a real game of not my fault when it comes to her relationship with Meri. Meri's been saying for years that she's tried to meet Robyn's kids, but Robyn hasn't made it happen. Robyn, on the other hand, is over there crying about how she's the poor, abandoned idiot who was left behind, while also refusing to let Meri meet her kids. Oh, the hypocrisy is strong with this one. And Christine? She nailed it. Robyn never actually wanted to live polygamy. Her whole entrance into this family was like throwing a grenade into a peaceful room. At first, everyone was all about this ideal of raising the kids as one big, happy, blended family. But now it turns out Robyn was so threatened by the other wives that she wouldn't even let Meri, who practically sacrificed her whole life, including her legal marriage, to stay in Robyn and Kody's good graces, get close to the kids. For the cameras, though, Robyn acted like everything was fine between her and Meri, How convenient. According to some of the adult kids, there may be reasons for keeping Mary away, but really, can we just stop pretending? This family stopped being a family when Robyn showed up. At some point, I'm betting this is all going to blow up in Robyn's face. I mean, seriously, how messed up is it that the woman who gave up her legal marriage to help raise someone else's kids isn't even allowed to see them now? Mary's been quiet for a while, but you know what they say, silence doesn't last forever. She's hinted that one day she's going to spill all, maybe even write a book. And let's not forget how Mary's been saying for ages that Robyn never calls her. She has to do all the reaching out. Honestly, Robyn's got a screw loose. Mary clearly cared a lot about Robyn's kids. As a parent, who wouldn't want someone who loves and cares for their kids deeply to stay involved? Unless, of course, Robyn's punishing Mary for something that no one's willing to address. Maybe Mary's not good enough for some reason, but that's a conversation no one wants to have on camera. Either way, it doesn't make sense. Something's off, and Robyn's playing all the wrong cards. Robyn's been quiet quitting for years, and honestly, I'm not surprised. I just listened to Ace and Caitlin's podcast, and they nailed it. Robyn and Kody's main income source is sister wives. No wonder she's not putting in any effort anymore. It's honestly been bugging me how Robyn's contributions to the show have been getting smaller and smaller every season. At this point, they won't even let the crew inside her house. She's been phoning it in for ages, offering as little as possible because, let's face it, this is basically her only source of income. Soon, she'll probably just phone in her talking head segments and call it a day. But isn't that just Robyn? The queen of low-effort everything. Low-effort sister wife, low-effort business owner, hello, MSWC, low-effort parenting, cue the Michael T. and coronavirus nanny situation. Her whole brand is doing the bare minimum while somehow maximizing personal gain. If there were a degree in strategic laziness, she'd have a doctorate by now. The real kicker, Kody constantly criticized Christine for not putting enough effort into their marriage. Christine had 6 kids, watched all the OG kids so Mary and Janelle could work, and still managed part-time jobs. Meanwhile, Robyn had her kids doing the MSWC shipping, never worked a day in her life, and always had nannies. What does she actually do? Besides keep Kody satisfied in a way that doesn't involve lifting a finger for anything else. If Christine didn't have the weight of watching 13 kids, cooking, and cleaning, maybe she could have been more in the mood for Kody. But hey, Robyn had it easy. She got to treat him like a customer because everyone else was doing the hard work. This season has been interesting, though. Robyn's actually showing up more, but I'm guessing it's because she had no choice. After what happened with Garrison, I'm sure she panicked and realized she had to at least appear like she cares. Hence the scenes where she's telling Kody to spend time with his other kids, because that's totally a natural thing to say. Problem is, her acting skills are so bad, and her credibility is non-existent, so no one's buying it. Honestly, Robyn's contribution to the show has been basically nothing for years. Her main role was to nag Kody, cry about everyone else, and complain about Mary. But any sort of personal growth, nada. And her scenes with her kids, uncomfortable at best. The other moms are so natural with their children, whose faces don't look like they're about to burst into tears at any moment, but Robyn's kids always seem on the edge of a meltdown. Is she slow quitting, or is the footage just that useless? And don't get me started on Robyn. She was all in when she was lecturing the kids and basking in the fact that Kody would pick her whenever he could. Remember when she denied Mary the chance to go to college? Or when she gleefully painted Christine and her kids out of a family portrait and inserted herself into it? Not to mention her little passive-aggressive moves with Janelle's kids about the food situation in the fridge. Let's not forget her gleeful acceptance of Kody melting down Mary's wedding ring. Yeah, Robyn's been all in, just in all the wrong ways. Watching Mary and Janelle try to have this conversation was a real experience. so painful to watch. It was almost like Janelle was holding her breath, waiting for Mary to open up, to share her thoughts, her feelings, her story. And Mary? Well, she just couldn't seem to take the bait. Instead, she clung to her usual stance of playing the victim and protecting Kody's interests. Because, after years of Kody ignoring her feelings and needs, she's totally still about supporting him, right? It was so obvious that Janelle was trying to build some kind of connection, maybe even offering a little solidarity, at the very least, a tiny bit of transparency. But Mary, not interested. She's too busy holding onto that bitter, polygamous trust issue that she's clearly never shaken off. Honestly, it's kind of sad. Janelle and Christine both met a much younger, less mature Mary when they first joined the family, and now we're seeing the fallout from that. But it's still bizarre to watch how Mary is so much more open and friendly in other situations. Yet when it comes to her sister wives, radio silence. And let's be real here. This conversation wasn't a breakthrough or a step forward. It was just a more mature version of the same tired dynamic we've been seeing for years. It's disappointing because there was real potential for something different. Imagine the OG3 actually bonding over their shared experiences, maybe even maintaining some kind of closeness despite the distance. Like, yeah, maybe they don't hang out all the time, but they could at least check in and not make family events feel so painfully awkward. But maybe that's just me, huh? Oh, and speaking of that lawyering up talk, can they just do it already? Seriously, I'm so over them talking about protecting themselves and being prepared. Just go ahead and make the move. I'm secretly hoping they've already taken action and just aren't allowed to talk about it. But honestly, I'm not holding my breath. And don't even get me started on Mary trusting Kody to do the right thing by her. Like how? Why? After everything, why on earth would she trust this man who flat out said he married the wrong wife and didn't love her for 32 years? It makes no sense. At this point, it's just wild to think she'd give him any trust or leeway. At the end of the day, Mary was isolated and basically abandoned. They all knew how Kody treated her, yet no one checked in on her. Janelle, especially, wasn't worried about Mary. She was looking out for herself. I mean, she's over here talking about Kody not having the money like she expected Mary to bail him out. Please. Mary has her own assets and could walk away from Coyote Pass without a second thought. Janelle, not so much. Honestly, the only solution here is to put the pressure on Kody. Either he buys them out, or they sell their portions and move on with their lives. Done. Did Kody and Janelle have an emotional affair? Honestly, I'm leaning towards yes. It's pretty strange how Janelle went from being Mary's sister-in-law to suddenly married to Kody. I can't shake the feeling that there were feelings brewing between them while Janelle was still married to Mary's brother. If Janelle hadn't been introduced to the family that way, being married to Mary's brother, I think she and Mary would have had a much stronger bond. Or at least a less toxic one, especially in the early years. I also think that's part of the reason Kody seems to like Janelle so much after Robyn. Their relationship kinda has that secret affair vibe to it. Now, I'm not picking sides here, honestly. I like all the OG3 wives. But let's not kid ourselves. None of them came out of this situation looking all that great. Seriously, what was going through their heads? They decided to share one big unprepared, uneducated, and rather flighty guy. I mean, really? At one point or another, all three of them said Kody had no career, was all over the place, and had zero stability. Yet, they decided to have multiple kids with a guy who couldn't even support himself. What were their other options? Jedediah the village idiot with one testicle. The way Janelle talks about meeting Kody and Mary is a little deceptive. Let's be real. They weren't just some random polygamist friends. She was family, even if it was briefly. The fact that they don't explain that relationship is telling. It would make the average viewer uncomfortable to learn that your brother's ex-wife is now married to your husband. and we all know that wouldn't look good for the show, so they gloss over it. Kody and Janelle had chemistry, no doubt about it. I'm not saying they acted on it while Janelle was still married, but she was clearly unhappy in her marriage, so she was probably vulnerable to someone else. Kody isn't exactly subtle, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was some flirtation going on. Let's not forget how they wanted to schedule their wedding on Mary's birthday. Come on, that's just wrong. The whole thing with them hanging out behind Mary's back and discussing being together? Yeah, that definitely qualifies as an emotional affair. It might not have been physical, maybe, but it's definitely crossing boundaries. And who knows? With Kody's lack of boundaries, I wouldn't be shocked if there was some unwanted physical attention too. Do you think Mary and Janelle are actually expecting to get back the money they handed over for Robyn's down payment? Or are they just resigned to the fact that it's gone and now they're only worried about getting their share of the land on Coyote Pass? It's funny because they never really bring up asking for that money back, which makes me wonder if they've just written it off as a lost cause. And honestly, can you blame them? Legally, they don't have much of a leg to stand on. If they just let it go, that's honestly kind of sad. They could have at least put that money into a trust for the kids, right? But no, it's now in the hands of Kody and Robyn. Classic. If Kody and Robyn manage to keep that cash without any consequences, that's just, well, honestly, it's nauseating. What really blows my mind, though, is that Mary and Janelle haven't teamed up and taken Kody and Robyn to court over the Coyote Pass land or any of the money. Like, what's the holdup? I'd think they'd at least try to make a go of it together, right? I mean, the logical move would be to join forces and go after Kody and Robyn, because that would probably be their best chance at recovering anything. But of course, Kody's counting on them being so emotionally drained and beaten down that they won't want to fight him. Brilliant strategy on his part, I guess. But according to Robyn, trying to figure out how much is owed is apparently impossible, and Kody, well, his biggest fear in life is being poor, so good luck getting that money back. Honestly, I don't think Janelle and Mary have much of a shot at it at this point. It's honestly kind of pathetic. Here's the kicker though, if someone else financially contributes to your down payment, they have to sign a document stating that it's a gift and that there's no expectation of repayment. So yeah, Janelle and Mary don't have much hope of getting that money back legally. Now, when it comes to Coyote Pass, that's a different story since their names are on the property too. Christine even mentioned signing away her portion to Kody and Robyn, which means Janelle and Mary technically still own part of it. If they finish paying it off, it's going to have to be a group decision to sell, unless, of course, they divide the land into individual plots and sell them off separately. But if Kody and Robyn just refuse to finish paying off the land and let it go back to the bank, that's where things get tricky. Maybe Janelle and Mary could have some kind of civil claim against them, but I don't think this is the slam dunk people think it is. They made the choice to give their money away because they thought they were doing what was best for their family, but legally, they weren't a family, and those decisions are a little messy now. It'll be interesting to see how it all shakes out, though. Take care, and much love to you all.